Yeah, I have started this work around 2005, year
Okay.
2005. So actually, I did
Okay.
not come into work for this stoves actually. I was looking into climate
Okay.
change and adaptation of the local communities.
Okay.
So within that framework, I was looking into rural energy, agriculture, water. These are the some of the
Okay.
issues I was looking at in the context
Okay.
of climate change.
Yes.
So when I studied the rural energy, especially the cooking habits of the
Yeah.
people, then I found that still most of the people are cooking on these three stone stoves.
Right.
They are very basic stoves, and
Right.
the suffering of women, especially due to smoke,
Yes.
it has impacted their health, the time that they need to spend, right from fetching the fuel wood to cooking, and also
Yeah.
addressing the modern requirements. That is, their
Yeah.
children are going to schools
Yes.
and their husbands are going to work. So
Yes.
managing this time and everything, it was a very big task for them.
Right.
So when I observed these things in the villages, then the fundamental question was, in spite of so much technology around, why
Yeah.
our scientific institutions, universities, or research laboratories, including ISRO kind of institutions,
Yeah.
because they know more about propulsion, combustion, and all that, and they
Right.
have the best equipment to study. But why
Right.
they have not done any fundamental research to address this problem?
Yeah.
So, in that context, both local as well as global, that is the context of
Right.
climate change,
Yeah.
I started looking this issue, and then I started my own research on stoves
Okay.
because I felt there is not a single stove which would meet the requirements of the communities, because each
Right.
stove has its own local value, as you were rightly telling, the indigenous
Right.
food habits, the local food,
Right.
the way it is prepared, at what temperature
Yeah.
it is prepared, the values of
Yeah.
food, means after consumption what would happen to them, and seasonal
Yeah.
variation of food. So all
Yeah.
these things were existing within India. That is the diversity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I thought it is not an easy task to develop one particular stove for meeting the requirements of all the communities in India. So
Right.
that was one reason why I started research, and I go on developing about 50 different models,
Right.
including the latest technology related, that is gas fire stoves also. Then another challenge
A gas.
was, yeah, that was the thing why I got into this thing, and
Okay.
how I got into this research. So intensively I was working right from year 2005 to 2012. Intensively I was working. Intensively
Right.
means I was designing stoves, I was documenting, I was communicating with the
So sorry,
rural.
sir. Can you give me the dates again? 2005 to.
2005 to 2012, it was a very intensive work.
Okay. Yeah.
Very intensive means I was traveling extensively within India, different parts,
Yeah.
and meeting various communities and
Can you give me
designing
names of some of the parts and some of the communities, sir?
like Mudumalai, the tribal communities in Tamil
Yeah.
Nadu, or the sex workers of Mumbai. I trained some of the sex
Yeah.
workers on developing stoves in Kamatipura area.
Right.
So even the Malto communities in Jharkhand, or even Chitrakoot
How?
area, Jharkhand.
Yeah.
or even Chitrakoot area.
Yeah.
So like that, Orissa, some communities, including some communities abroad. I have personally
Okay.
visited like Kenya, Bangladesh,
Okay.
and trained the NGOs and the local communities on the stoves.
Okay.
So it was also I have written a book on understanding stoves.
Yeah, I saw that books I've ordered it. It's taking a little time to come.
No, you can download freely because all my works
Oh,
are open knowledge. You can go to Google Drive and download. Yeah.
okay.
So this is also published in 2012 by
Okay.
Meta. Meta is the organization in
Okay.
Netherlands. They have
Okay.
published this book.
Okay.
I declare all my designs, all my work, all my publications, everything as open knowledge.
Actually,
Open
this is something I wanted to talk to you about because I found this was a question that I had. Because I saw, you talk about open knowledge and you talk a lot about participatory technology development.
Yeah.
And I wanted to understand why is this so important for you, and can you talk to me a little bit about this ethos or this way of thinking for you?
See, many times a person's knowledge or their position brings a kind of ego. That ego is nothing but I know. Many times we don't understand the exact needs and requirements of the communities.
Right.
Say a woman who sits and cooks, a man stands and cooks. There is a biological difference between the way of cooking, whether it is culturally, otherwise also. Then, if you are designing a stove, say that is about 2 feet high, how can a woman, when she sits, she is hardly 1.5 feet when she is bending and cooking, and also she need to see what is being cooked also.
Yeah.
Because she need to do frying, stirring and all that. So what should be the height of a stove? If you want to bring efficiency, sometimes you increase the height of the stove. But this is not going to meet the exact requirements of the woman who is cooking, say 2 hours per day or 1.5 hour per day, sitting next to a stove. So all these are the fundamental things which the scientific community sometimes they miss out.
Did you realize that women were sitting and cooking while you were conducting this research?
These are the what we say gender sensitive issues, as well as a researchers one need to be sensitive to the problem.
Yeah.
If you are not sensitive to the exact problem, then sometimes you ought to develop something which doesn't fit into their needs. So this is what we call participatory. The thing is that let us say one of my stoves, make 3G stove.
Yeah.
I was taking to a particular tribal community. They are Lambadas.
Yeah.
So first model I have taken to them. I have given. I asked them cook on the stove for 7 days and give your feedback. Then they give some feedback telling that this is a little bit high. Can you reduce its height? Then one of the fundamental conflict was inside my mind. If I need to give an efficient stove, the height should be that much only. But the challenge is, if I give an efficient stove, they are not willing to adopt, because the problem is they need a kind of stove which is at least 1 inch lesser in height.
Yeah.
So here it is a compromise between what works in real situation, what doesn't work. Because ultimately the woman who sits and cooks, her health as well as her biological condition to cook with that stove, all this need to be there. So that is participatory. So what I did is I increased its width and reduced its height. Then when I had taken it to them, they were so happy that all my stoves, they were sold in no time. First, they placed a demand, yes, this is the stove we want. Because our rotis, especially jawar roti, they were cooking, sorghum
Yeah.
roti. It
Yeah.
is perfect on this stove. And
So
they
the
were so
stoves were
happy.
made and they were was it you personally selling the stoves to them, or was it the organization?
No, it
How
was,
does that work?
I was always, as a researcher, it was never my business selling
Okay.
stoves. Only I was involved in facilitation because
Right.
some organizations they support, this facilitation role. So at that
Yeah.
time, Good Planet, an organization in France, they were supporting me.
Okay. Okay.
So that technically my logistics and other things are taken care by them. So for me,
Okay.
the challenge is only cost to cost, how I can facilitate a good stove. Because they
And
need to
what
adopt.
is the difference in is there any measured difference in efficiency between the stoves you made and what they were using previously?
Yeah, it made lots of difference, including 30 to 50% fuel wood they could save in the stoves that I have designed for them.
Yeah.
So 30 to 50% means even if you calculate the cost of 1 kg of wood, every day they consume about 5 kg to 7 kg, something like. So let us
Yeah.
say every day if they are saving 2-3 kgs of fuel wood, even if
Yeah.
you put cost in those days about 5 rupees to 10 rupees something. So
Yeah.
even 2-3 kgs means 20 to 30 rupees per day. So if we take monthly basis, it is around 900 rupees. Apart from this,
Yeah.
other things, the time that they would spend in fetching the fuel wood,
Yeah.
the number of days they
Yeah.
would spend in a month, even
Yeah.
per day wage, if you take 300 to 500 rupees wage. So all
Yeah.
this, it is equivalent to the LPG. We don't
Yeah.
understand this inbuilt cost of the poor communities.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they have time, but they are fetching fuel wood to cook. Again, they are losing their health. But the government doesn't understand this
Yeah.
factor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this participatory is always, especially working with the masses. Masses
Yeah.
means millions of people, because the cook stove is related to every family. Especially
Yeah.
even in India, when at least 5 lakh people are dying every year due to this indoor air
Yeah.
pollution from cook stoves. That is,
Yeah.
I am very humble to say that figure, but it could be more. So, this is a bigger factor than the corona, the deaths due to corona.
Yeah.
But the sensitivity of the government or the policies, even LPG cylinder the government is providing, again they have to pay for the refill, no? They are not
Yeah.
giving free cylinder. Every month they are only giving the connection without much challenges.
Yeah.
Giving a connection is not giving every month free fuel. So it means they
Yeah.
already have this burden.
When you were designing, when you were researching and designing, were the women willing to give this information to you, or was it difficult for you to collect this primary data?
While doing research, it was always action research for me. Action research
What does that
happens.
mean?
Action research happens live in the field. It doesn't happen in the laboratories. You
Right.
see many scientists going to a laboratory with a coat, tie, or sometimes with an apron, and sitting with
Yeah.
this kind of burners and all that, with exhaust fan and all that. So that research is different. Whatever values they get, whatever designs they get, they will never fit into community. Action research is
Yeah.
be with communities, spend time with communities, see their existing stoves, always see what modifications you can do in their existing stoves, because any deviation from their traditional cooking suddenly will not
Right.
help the community to adopt. So
Yeah.
always provide a challenge, a solution within what is existing. That is far more easier than finding a solution which is something completely different out of box. So in action research, we spend time with communities. We learn from them. We learn. You understand this? Because we don't teach. Because that is the participatory way. Because their experience is far more, because every day they deal with it.
Yeah.
As a scientist or the researcher, you only deal now and then. The real problem is with them, not with you.
Yeah.
So that is what makes the difference.
Right. And I also, I read about biochar when I was researching you, and I realized that I had done about 3 years ago. I had done a permaculture design course where one of the projects was to make biochar using out of coconut husk.
Yeah.
And I remember that was my personal introduction to it. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about biochar and biochar as a source of energy, and how you're envisioning this, as something of the future.
For me also, biochar was because an important element. When I was working on this biomass cook stoves, people were questioning me, where do you get the fuel wood? Then this, how do we convert the charcoal from your own cook stove and improve the fertility of your own soil so that you will get more biomass? Because any day biomass is renewable. Unless we also take up the management. So here the management is fundamentally related to the soil amendment. So for the soil amendment, biochar is a very good solution, because again it is addressing the local issues as well as the global issue like climate change. So carbon sequestration and everything it is addressing. Apart from that, it is also rejuvenating the soils with the microbial life. Healthy soils we can create, and the chemicalized.
Sorry, sir. I just want to understand something. Basically, when you are talking about the biomass stoves, you're referring to generally the biomass is mainly firewood, correct?
Yeah, fuel wood, firewood.
Right. So as the firewood goes into the stove, gets burnt, you are left with basically the remains of that burnt wood.
Yeah.
You're saying that the idea here is to use those remains itself in the field or in the farm or in the garden or in the growing area or wherever it is. Is that what you're saying?
True. The charcoal yield, even from any kind of stove, up to 5% will be the yield. Let us say if you are burning about say 10 kg of food, so around 5% means 500 grams of charcoal will be there at the end. Even in the traditional stoves. But with improved efficiencies of cooking, even in the traditional stove, up to 15% charcoal we can extract. So in the TLUD gas fire stoves and all that higher versions are more efficient stoves. So somewhere between 15 to 20% charcoal we can extract. We can extract means here we have to understand, sometimes people tend to leave the stove as it is, without quenching the charcoal. They have to take out the wood, they have to quench and then extract the charcoal. If they don't do this process, it tends to continue and convert into ash. So, but people have a choice to take out this biochar or charcoal per se. Fundamentally, it is charcoal. When it is applied for soil and other environmental benefits, we call it biochar. So, this charcoal extracted from the stove is locally they can use for kitchen gardens immediately, because on huge farms that was happening already traditionally. The ash and charcoal was used in the kitchen garden. That's why we see the record growth of certain plants, especially vegetables. We always see in the kitchen gardens. So they have this innate knowledge within them, but this knowledge is not explicit many times as a science. So again, I was the pioneer for introducing this biochar in India from 2005. So that way again I have written another book called Biochar Culture on how to use the charcoal and all that. So this became another stream for me, again addressing
Yeah.
both local challenges, the agriculture, as well as something called climate change
But if they
mitigation.
were doing that in the past, why did they stop doing it?
No, they never stopped. Anywhere you go to any civilized place, even civilizations, when archaeological
Yeah.
people start digging, they find pieces of charcoal. So, in many soils which had been cultivated for say 500 years or more, you tend to find some charcoal. So, traditionally, charcoal was an integral part. The agriculture sciences, per se, the recent universities, they
Yeah.
did not focus much on this aspect. They have somehow left it. But now again, all the agriculture universities have come back and they are doing the research, and they identified the values, because many times the slash and burn, or while preparing the agriculture fields during this after rains. So all this
Yeah.
we had seen that people had been burning. If they had
Yeah.
been burning, if there was any negative results due to burning, they would have never done that. But traditionally
Yeah.
they had been doing, and they know that wherever this thing is burnt, the crop growth is better, far better. So
Yeah.
the traditional knowledge, the traditional sciences, it always proved that the farmers, the indigenous community, they always have done knowingly, unknowingly, realizing its benefits. But now we are making it as a science. The science is that we have to, in the process of converting this excess biomass, earlier it was not a big challenge because they had lots of livestock. So either you composted, either it went as a feed to animals, either it was burnt. So there was a balance.
Yeah.
But now, because there is less livestock, people are burning even more. So now how to convert this biomass efficiently into biochar is a challenge. So that is where the people are looking at. So in this context, now that research is happening in how to convert in situ, especially locally, because managing huge biomass within less time, it is not so easy. So some technologies are coming. Still, we need to find the fundamental solutions for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you are you still actively working on this stove project now, or how does the project work now? Do people just have how do people get access to your designs? Where is the project currently?
Presently, the content that I have developed in the books that I have written, or the blogs that I have created, more than 100 blogs on stoves, more than 100 blogs on biochar, and the presentations, the podcasting, the interviews I have given to CNN, IBN, all these channels. These are being accessed by thousands of people every month, globally. So people also consult me or contact me, and then they ask some fundamental questions, because my work is open knowledge. They have that freedom to take, and I have seen some of my, say, oven stove, that is one of the designs I have created. It is adopted by many people, and with different materials they have created their own designs, taking the fundamental designs from me. So like that, things are magnifying on their own now. So I am not into business of production any day, but the fundamental research they have done, that I have done on stoves and biochar, it is continuing and it is spreading. So that is how I am supporting, and now also I am working on climate change, disaster related projects, environmental related projects. So
what are you currently working on, sir?
Presently I am working on how to create the leaders for the earth, especially the kind of work that I had been doing, say the fundamental work which is related to millions of people, again the works related to climate change, environment, disaster, sustainable development. Similarly,
Yeah.
how do we encourage younger generations? See, nobody is ready to work on stoves even now, let us say. There is not even a single course on stoves.
Yeah.
People will feel that working on stoves is something very less kind of job. But these are the fundamental
Yeah.
things, challenges still existing. So, how do we encourage our younger generations to become the leaders to address these fundamental challenges which are relevant to millions of people? So, in this process, I am creating special sessions, courses, trainings. I am now the director for Council for Earth Leadership and Sustainability, an organization here in Hyderabad. So here
Okay.
I regularly conduct lots of trainings. Apart from that, I am
Okay.
advisor to some international organizations on Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Again, I am
Okay.
advisor to Vandan Vikas Kendras, that is tribal communities, enterprises on minor forest
Yeah.
produce. Again, I am also working with the forest department on forest conservation, high conservation value
Okay.
forest. That's called
Okay.
FSC certification process, Forest Stewardship Council
Um,
certification process. So like that,
for
multiple
for
things
pe-
I do.
for people who live in the forest, or for anybody
Yeah,
who
for
specifically needs to
addressing
work?
the conservation values involving the local communities as well as the
Okay.
practices of the forest department in forest management, both.
Okay.
So it has the social aspect as well as the forest management aspects. So
Right.
I do
And
kind of multiple things now related
yeah.
to, as I said, again we are working on these climate change conferences. Recently we had done I led this conference of people on climate change. Again,
Okay.
I have created this Earth Centers Alliance that
Yeah.
is involving universities, colleges, and thousands of students.
Yeah.
And how do they bring this United Nations International Days of Importance, say Water Day, Biodiversity Day, etc., like that, on
Yeah.
sustainability. And Sustainable Development Goals is one thing of UN that again I am working. So
Right.
it goes on. Apart from that, I am writing books. I am also working on videos,
Right.
uh, like that, podcasting. I am doing
Yeah.
multiple things. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is not one. Yeah.
Um, the Geospirit is the name of the organization.
Yeah, Geospirit is the concept designed by me in 2010.
Okay.
Actually, through Geospirit, that is nothing but the spirit of one existing on this earth, each individual existing on earth. So
Yeah.
each individual how to set their goals for the earth sustainability. So in this process, I create the earth leaders. So Geospirit
Yeah.
is the event that I conduct. I have several books on earth leadership, on Geospirit, and on all
Yeah.
these methods. So this is what I do now. So I coined the term called Geospirit for the process of creating this, or the process for the emergence of earth leaders. Again, my belief is
Yeah.
that everybody born on this earth has equal responsibility, and everybody is a leader. There is nothing called follower or
Yeah.
volunteer or something like that. So one need not,
Yeah.
one can choose their own way based on their potential. They can be always an earth leader. It is not
And,
that,
and these, yeah, I agree completely, sir. I agree completely. And I want to know, are these courses in Telugu as well as in English?
yeah, these are in all languages. There is no limitation because I also create in the process of these events. It is something like on Saturday I start this course. On Sunday morning, sometimes say by around 10 o'clock it ends up. But I ask them to spend whole night contemplating. Usually we create a small campfire. Around that we sit and there will be lots of discussions. Let us say recently I have conducted a geospirit with the students, children basically, on being human. See, being human is an element which is rarely taught in schools. But being human is very fundamental because we are human beings. So, how to sensitize the children on this fundamental aspect? So, we give lots of examples on this how to be a human being and what are the traits which you have to lose in an earth leader, what are the things you have to develop as an earth leader, why earth leader should have multiple skills. So similarly on rural energy, geospirit meets are conducted, on biodiversity geospirit meets are conducted. So like that different themes
Are they
we do.
primarily in English though, or do you have courses that are specifically in regional languages?
No, English, Hindi, Telugu, because whatever I can, otherwise sometimes when somebody interprets, again we conduct them, no issue. But usually we conduct these events in a natural environment. Usually in a jungle or in a wilderness, because I want them connected to the Mother Earth. Then
who are the kind of people that you find to do this course? What age group are they generally, and where are they from?
In my courses, everybody participated, right from you can say the Civil Services Foundation course selected candidates to rural youth, even the professionally, even who are going for this political leadership, they also participated. College students participated, teachers participated. So you take any category, all kinds of people, by now thousands of, because at the end I also give a certificate. On that certificate I declare, because whatever they are committed and they have come. The declaration is that they are the earth leaders. It is written on that certificate. We say that this is to certify so and so has participated and got sensitized and became aware on the following issues, and we are declaring them as the earth leader. So that is the certificate that is given. So thousands of people had been given, because the recognition is also important in the process. And I also conduct lots of sensitization activities. Say walking on the earth barefoot, closed their eyes, because I want all their senses to be opened up. Because many times we see only with eyes, but we don't use our other senses to get connected to earth. So feeling the real earth, all these activities we do conduct. So in the process they really get sensitized. So it is also it is also a space for contemplation for each individual to set their common goals, not the individual goals. Common goals are relevant to the earth. Say somebody is committed, they will say, I want to plant 1 million saplings in my lifetime. So that's a common goal. So like that different kinds of declarations happen, and at the end of declaration I ask them to touch earth and then leave. And nowhere these declarations are recorded. I always say your declaration is your word. Your declaration is for earth. Your declaration is not to any individual. It is your own goal, your own existence, your own responsibility, your own leadership for the earth. So that's how we create this space. So I am working on that, because we need many leaders for earth sustainability, and there is a vacuum of leaders in every profession. Whether it is doctors, whether it is engineers, whether it is scientists, whether it is teachers, whether it is politicians. I think in every sphere we see lots of vacuum, and people are becoming more mean, and we are going hundreds of years back with kind of attitude and kind of our present practices. I think we need lots of leadership now.
Yeah.
So this leadership will cut the boundaries, especially. Even kind of becoming a nationalist, you are limiting yourself and your goals are limited to a small geographical area. I say now that it is time, let us say climate change. It is across the borders. Whether you emit or somebody emits, ultimately it is greenhouse gas. And we are suffering. Everybody is suffering. Even the remotest person is suffering. The sea level rise, or the kinds of cyclones, tornadoes, they are happening, the frequency, or the drought, the floods, even food security, the biggest challenge we are facing now. It is not that we don't have surplus, it is because of the systems we are failing. The kind of trades that are happening, the kind of business models we have, the kind of international relationships that we have. So all this who will address? We are going to see far more this hunger deaths now than what we have seen about a century ago. In spite of so much communication, in spite of so much food surplus, in spite of so much kind of international organizations existing, but we are unable to bring this balance on this earth now, or address the current challenges.
I'm curious as to why what made you think that this method has in some way more value than, say, the kind of research work or the kind of science work that you were doing prior to this?
See, for every leader, there are two things they need to integrate. One is spiritually they need to be very strong and commit themselves for some values. Because you work for some values, you work just like under somebody's vision, with values or without values. So for this thing, each individual need to be very strong. For that reason, this geospirit is required. Second thing is, each individual, let us say myself working on stoves or on biochar or on some sensors, local sensors, or including creating large scale awareness, or writing books, or whatever I had been doing. All these are something like tools. An individual should have both spiritually strong as well as they need to have multiple skills and knowledge sets. And each person should be learning throughout their life. So earlier whatever I have done is practicing. Today if I am preaching, because in the background I have all that I have done. And now also I am doing. So I believe that both are required for each individual. So in Earth Leadership, I always tell them, learn as much as you can for a purpose. Don't learn without purpose. Even our education system is purposeless most often. Because what we learn has less meaning in really addressing a challenge. A farmer's son, he might go to school, but he may not address even a small challenge of his father. So there is nothing called related to their own environment. So without sensing what is happening to their local environment, whatever education they would get, it is not that we are exporting our produce, we are exporting our children to serve somewhere and something. We have to be conscious about earth conscious. We have to understand what is happening around without addressing your own challenges, day-to-day challenges, even the fundamental challenges, then how you can be a great leader. So these things are integrated actually.
So what are some of the courses that you currently are building out right now?
Yeah, as I said, I am working on this climate change, disaster resilience, environmental issues, sustainable development goals, all the goals. So I am conducting. Yeah.
In the disaster resilience course, for example, what would somebody be able to learn?
In the disaster resilience, let us say with CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, it is something like a UN body only. It was created Here, all the projects related to infrastructure, especially let us say ports we have, or the
Yeah.
Mumbai floods that are happening every year. So I am mentoring international students on their projects
Okay.
on this disaster resilience. So they are doing some studies and again reviewing their progress of their projects, and then that kind of guidance I am providing.
Okay.
So I worked on Indonesian floods also for the World Bank project it was. So
Okay.
again planning for the Indonesian cities, about 55 cities are sinking in Indonesia, including Jakarta. So it was a national level project.
Crisis.
I was working on that. Even in Afghanistan I was working on the agriculture and climate change related issues, creating scenarios for the next 40 years. How do they sustain their agriculture? Again on international migration due to the drought in Herat province, and several other projects I have supported. So even conserving the wetland ecosystem, Bhitarkanika, I have worked on an international project, climate risk assessment, including coastal areas, climate risk assessments I was involved. So another project, HMRAP, Hydro Resilience Action Plan projects for NDMA, I am advisor to them.
Yeah.
So like that, my role is divided on several aspects as an advisor or mentor, or directly involved in projects, or creating these earth leaders, or even COP we are working again.
And so what made you start to do any of this? Why did you choose this field or this subject area to study?
It is not me, the environment made me to work on this actually, because whatever you are is because of your environment, your knowledge, your skills, your language, your food, everything is because of your environment. So if something is happening to your environment is not just what we think in terms of pollution and all that. It is your physical environment, your social environment, your biological environment, your spiritual environment. So all kinds of environments are getting degraded or polluted, or they are posing challenge to your own environment of existence. So responding to your environments is fundamental. So that's what made me what I am. Because the freedom that I choose not to work in only one discipline, or not to be a specialist, or take a kind of role that I'll do only these things, that made me flexible to adapt to these challenges that are existing. So that's all. It is nothing but freedom. In Geospirit, freedom is ultimate. You choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
Respond to current
Would
challenges.
you say that but you work primarily with organizations, or would you call yourself, you work
I
by
worked.
yourself?
I myself started an organization long back. It is dormant now. I have my own research center earlier where I was working intensely. I have my own museum on Stows. And then I worked with government also. I worked with international organizations. I worked with local organizations. So always I choose to be flexible and adapt to the kind of requirements and demands they are existing. So I give say some time to this organization, some time to a government organization, some time to an international organization. That presently also I am doing.
Now you said something about a museum of stoves. Where is that museum?
It is at Pedamadur village, Jangaon district now. It is in Telangana, about 110 kilometers from Hyderabad, northeast of Hyderabad. So all my stove designs are there actually.
Again, sir?
Yeah, you could visit. It is not actively open for any visitors as of now, because I need to spend some money to keep it open always, all the time. But any visitor comes, they can visit that place.
Okay.
where I had done fundamental research on stoves and I had been traveling around with the local communities. More than 50 villages I used to visit there, around that.
In Telangana?
No, that place while I was intensely doing action research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, thousands of villages I have visited. Myself worked in 18 parts of 18 states and 15 countries I have contributed. Yeah, my
Okay.
works.